Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to visit with you to share some new things that are going into my Etsy shop. If you will remember, about a little over 2 weeks ago, my husband and I took some days and went up to Asheville in North Carolina to do some leaf peeping, and at that time I was able to find some goodies that I thought I'd share in my Etsy shop, and I want to show them to you as I usually do. But then between coming back and today, I decided to jump off the deep end and try my hand at making some journals. So these, this one and the other one are two that I have made, and they are going to be coming to my Etsy shop within the next few days. I shared this on a video on my YouTube channel, but I thought that you might like to have a little bit closer look. This cover on this journal was made by me using a piece of my art that I made and shared on my YouTube channel. And if you wish to see the making of this cover, if you will look under the playlist called Acrylics on Canvas Sheets. I decided at that time not to jump to canvas sheets right away, that I would just try it on some brown craft paper, and that's what I did. And I had them rolled up, and I've been looking at them, and they've been bothering me, and I thought, well, maybe they would just make a lovely cover for my new journals. So here it is, the cover, and I have bound this. As you can see, I have bound this journal with some pure silk ribbons from my prior needlework life. So after deciding on the journal cover, I picked some papers to add to this journal. I picked a paper with a design on one side. Here is a piece of nice weight cardstock. This is a page from a coloring book. This is some absolutely wonderful 100% cotton resume paper, and I did practice some watercoloring on it, and that 100% cotton makes a difference. It watercolored beautifully. And this is a page out of a ledger that I didn't need or use anymore, so I've added that. And then I took the liberty of putting in a piece of Canson 140-pound cold press watercolor paper, because I thought you might want to play or experiment with some watercolor. And here is a sheet of my new painty papers using Tattered Angels spray, and I just have loved doing this. And so come to the center of the journal, and if you decide that you want to do something with the leftovers that I'm going to be including with the journal, it's very easy to open the silk ribbon just by giving that knot a little joggle, and the silk ribbon will loosen up, and you can remove it and re-stitch or make changes. So I then decided, well, I might as well leave these bits that were left over from cutting the papers for you. And I also included an envelope that you might or might not want to use, again using my spray, and some of the leftover of the edges of the journal cover. And I decided to include one of my posies. So this is going to be coming to my Etsy shop in the next few days, and this one will also be coming. This was, and these are very similar. The contents, the covers are different, but the contents of both journals are the same. Here I have the painty papers again, a posy, some of the leftover edges from the cover, painty papers, the leftovers of the watercolor paper and the ledger and so forth, and the inside lining paper of the cover, and the bits that are left of this first page in this journal. As you can see, I used the same pure silk ribbon, and there again, just wiggle that knot if you wish to open it and do something different with it. So this cover looks like this, and then I used the card for the lining and some paper from my stash. Again, the cardstock, coloring book, the resume, 100% cotton resume paper, the ledger, and the Canson watercolor paper, and a piece of my painty paper. So these two items got in the way of my sharing my my trove. So I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to start with the little ones and work my way up. I found these from the 40s. These are flashcards, and I went through a rather large collection of them and picked the ones that I thought might be interesting for you, for your junk journaling or whatever you might be interested in. They're in quite lovely condition considering that they're old as the hills, and but aren't they just delightful examples of that sort of art? So these will be coming to my Etsy. And then I found this, which stopped me in my tracks. This is, of course, a vintage postcard with love's best wishes for a happy new year, and in the late 1800s, or very early 1900s, someone actually made a little book. And all of this pure silk is there. It's intact. It hasn't been mutilated. It's obviously been kept very well for well over 100 years. So this is a bird book. These cards are done beautifully. The cover on the back is iridescent paper. And when I saw that these two closures, which are handmade in pure silk, are still intact, well, I just thought someone is going to want to have this delightful little book. This will be coming soon, and these maroon and gold colors are they just go so beautifully. Someone took so much time to think of how to make this lovely, and then picked this paper. So, another goodie that I found. Then I found these two, and I'm going to be selling them as two different items. I found these when we were on our way home. My husband said, "Oh, did you see that billboard? It said there's an antique mall." I said, "Oh yes, let's go there." And it had been, I would say, well over 10, maybe 15 years since we had gotten off at that exit and gone up that road a little bit, maybe 2 miles to the right. And as I remember it, I could still remember that mall. It was absolutely heavenly. It still is. Look at these, and look at the lovely condition of these books. This one is dated in a note, February 14th, 1981. These books and their dust covers have done that beautiful thing that aging does for some papers, but they are in very, very, very delicious condition. And Miss Tiggy Winkle, the front pages are lovely, lovely. And those beautiful, beautiful Beatrix Potter pages. Copyright 1905 by Warner, Frederick Warner. And of course this one is probably in the late 70s or early 80s. And these books, these pages are all in beautiful shiny paper. And I could not resist these because I knew that someone might have a use for these or just as an addition to your collection. So I picked Miss Tiggy Winkle and Jemima Puddle Duck, these two being some of my favorites. Now this one has just a little tiny half-inch, it's a half-inch tear right here on the front cover, but the rest is in pretty nice condition, and there's that beautiful aging and a little bit of marbling on the paper, but the cover is lovely, in good condition. Someone has written $5.79 into this, and I thought that this was not there, but in this book they put it as a separate pair of pages. And there's the tale of Jemima Puddle Duck with these absolutely lovely, lovely illustrations. So these two items will be in my shop, and I know that someone will just think of something to do or to add them to your children's book collection. Here is one that I found that I'm sure I had not ever seen anything in this condition. The National Standard, the Elementary Spelling Book, American Book Company, in really wonderful condition, with the lovely etching illustration. Elementary Spelling Book by Webster of the dictionary, and dated 1880 and 1908. So this is probably the 1908 edition. And the pages in here are in wonderful condition. One wonders, again, where they must have been all this time, because they were certainly, and they don't have a damp odor, they just have an old paper odor, which I love. That's why I just smelled it. And so this will be coming to my Etsy very soon also. Here's one that stopped me because it was laying down like this, and I saw Lilies of the Valley, and I just, since I was a little girl, loved Lilies of the Valley. But I looked at it and I said, oh my goodness, isn't this condition of this lovely? Chateau of Flowers, The Romantic Story of Lily of the Valley, and it's a Harlequin book. I didn't know they did books like this. This condition is just delightful. I think it's almost puts me in mind of the better quality Reader's Digest books. The illustration, very tiny Harlequin books down here, very, very small. And MCM, L is 50, 2X's is 70, so this is 1971. You can see that I was a 5th grade teacher. I made sure everybody understood those. So, This book, again, in just lovely, lovely condition. The pages are turning color just beautifully. And isn't this a great possibility? Even if you remove this block, this cover would make the beginning of an absolutely beautiful altered book or a journal. Could not resist that one. Now this, my husband found. He walked over and said, look at this one, look at this one. It's wonderful how he's learning by doing. Among friends, and I see two little girls and a bandage on the knee. Well, I stopped everything because, of course, at that point, I was bent over with my rear end up in the air, the way I usually spend my time looking down for books and things like that, which are usually down low. So I straightened up and I looked. I said, oh, okay. And I looked at it and I said, well, it's newish, but the condition of the cover is just delightful. And it is, as you can see, the book itself just has a slight little bit of fading along the spine. And then I opened it. I almost injured myself when I saw this. I'm a sweet pea girl, almost like Lilies of the Valley. So here I am. And I turned, and here we have a piece of vellum on top of the page with the vertical stripes. I said, well, they have me now. This is it for me. Among Friends, 1994, chosen especially for, and shiny, delightful paper, lovely illustrations, and then look at this one. Isn't this one just waiting to be played with and altered? Oh my, knitting. Well, I didn't know what to do with myself at this point. So, then this one, including a bunny. Gail Agostinelli should see this bunny and this illustration, and irises. Oh, and poppies. This is just a gem waiting for your artistic embellishments. And it's going to be very, very difficult to put this one in my shop. So if you see it there, it's because I've risen above my natural inclination to hoard this. Another find in a smaller mall, just down the street. Child's Garden of Verses. And of course this was part of my childhood, this Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. The cover, not in bad condition. Cover of the book, garden color, green. And then (1961), all of the contents, index of first lines of the poems. And didn't all of this bring back memories? And then full page illustrations, and aren't they absolutely delightful? When I saw this one, I thought, well, that's probably it, because of these lovely colored pen and ink sketches. I thought, that was it. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. Look what we have here in her bathing suit, and him up the tree in the pants that a little boy would have worn in the time of Robert Louis Stevenson, with the buttons to hold him up to his shirt. Fairies, Child Alone. And I thought, oh my, what? Oh, and look at these. If you just study these small ones, oh, my Lord, My Ship and I. For some reason, I remember that poem. And there's a person, a little person on that toy boat. Uh-oh. The lamplighter. I don't remember that one. Bed in Summer with jammies with feet. So, needless to say, that one went into the bin also. I think I spent a lot of time on that trip, reliving my childhood. Here comes one. Little Anne, a book illustrated by Kate Greenaway. Frederick Warner, who was the illustrator, the same company that did that one. No dust cover, a little bit of wear around the edges of this book, so it's been read and loved, but not terribly abused. Written in pencil with the date 1930 and a little two-girl book plate this book belongs to. A little loosening in the stitched binding, but not too badly. It can be repaired. And there's Kate Greenaway. Not possible not to see her work, the contents, and then the illustrations. Heavy, heavy, heavy stock. This one is just, if that doesn't scream Kate Greenaway, I don't know what would. Isn't that something? Well, that's a watercolor, didn't she just? Let me see, I think I'll leave this close up so that you can enjoy some of these other illustrations a little bit closer. So those clothes would indicate, that high waist would indicate 1820s to 1840s to me. Yes. And that, maybe 20s, yes, that was also in the post-revolutionary era that the women wore that. And it tied around on the back. It was to keep their necks warm, but it also saved the neck of the dresses. Sorry. TMI, I'm sure. And the little elderly lady with the cane. And the little boy pointing. Goodness knows what was coming out of his mouth. And there we go with the pants again with the two buttons. Kate Greenaway. Just a delightful book. A little bit loose here and there, but and heavy paper, but it's not falling out. So this will be coming soon. Now this one needs a little explanation. I've really never purchased one in quite this condition, but I couldn't resist it. It needs loving. It needs fixing. And it's been worn. It's been around, it's been used. But look at those two little girls. So I had to stop everything again. And have a good look. Oh, a little kid stuff there. Loose, but not, it's because it's stitched, it's not gone. If it was a more modern book, you know where this would be. It would be in chunks. So, The Magic Friend Maker, 1966. Poor Beth, she played alone. But she finally found a friend. We just moved in. And here is The Magic Friend Maker. Needless to say, I read the book because I couldn't not. Such lovely, lovely illustrations. think Mama's shoes were involved. And that's why I had to have this, because I've seen what some of you can do with things like this. And she lost her new friend because they were going to move, but she found a new one, and she passed on the magic friend maker. So, and then a little bit of brown crayon action back here. I'm going to put this in my shop only because I couldn't not put it in my shop. And then this, in very nice condition. And up here in the corner is the Woolworths tag, 50 cents. 50 cents. That took some allowance, didn't it? This is the 1961 printing. And there are some stamps throughout, and the stamps are put in with those little tiny bits so that these stamps are removable. And some of them are so very pretty. And there again, I thought that some of you might enjoy having the stamps, having the pages. These, and some of them are so pretty. It's really quite incredible, and they are such fine paper. It's really quite incredible the beauty of some of these stamps. Spain. Look at the colors, beautiful colors. So this will be also in my shop. United States, 50 cent stamp, pretty colors. Oh, I remember that Statue of Liberty stamp, 3 cents. So, as you can see, this was a fun visit. 2 more items, but I found these here in Jacksonville. These make lovely, and this is wonderful condition. These would make lovely additions to journals. Grade 4 arithmetic, 1962. And look at the, I started student teaching. And these books were not this color, so this is the way they age. And this one is in just lovely condition, including the covers. So, this one and this gem. Creative Art for Graded Schools, Book 5, and the name Mrs. Smith written in pencil. The back cover, pretty darn good condition. A little bit of problem there, but Valentine's, decorated gift boxes, paper bowls, material for a peep show, starch decorated papers, decorated kites, cut paper. It goes on and on. Aren't these? Oh, and I found this. Someone did something, and I remember paper like this. It's quite satiny feeling, and someone did a little bit of crayon work there. So that's going to remain, of course. And oh, at that time, these chicks were just had to be. So much of this is just so ready. Picture study. This is a portrait a very fine portrait of George Washington. What year do you think it is? What color are the shadows? Is it a sunny or cloudy day? Etc., etc. Potato printing. Picture study again. So not only how-tos, but think-abouts too. Simplified Old English lettering. So this little bundle of joy will also be in my shop. Well, as you can see, it was quite, except for these two, which and all of these lovelies are going to be available soon, and I do hope that you will consider browsing in my shop, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Bye for now.